Assalamualaikum, a very good day to our panels, Dr. Ahmad Fitri Amir and Puan Intan Rahayu binti Abdul Razak. So we would like to present about the motivation of customer in sharing economy basis and intention to revisit the case of Airbnb. Before we get started, I would like to present our group members. I am FASYA AZWANI binti AZHAR.
My name is Muhammad Rushdi by RAHIM.
And my name is Fatin Amanina binti Shahrul Afandi. Okay, for our topic outline, we will cover 5 chapters. Next.
Chapter 1, Introduction. According to Guten Text 2015, the emergence of Airbnb has become one of the successful platforms in the accommodation industry. Malaysia Airbnb market show an increased growth rates according to the Star Online 2016. On the other hand, tourism has seen the rise of a sharing economy in the last decade, a digitally based economy that putatively grants consumers temporary access to the underused asset of each other. Moving on to the problem statement. Since the emergence of Airbnb entered into the accommodation industry in 2008, the lodging sector has cast a wary eye, noticing its popularity among the young tourists. Airbnb supply showed a significant growth over 100% year-on-year over 10 years period of time, which indicates that the real decline rate of RevPAR was 2% across hotel categories. Lastly, 10 cities with the largest market share in the United States that use Airbnb resulted in 1.3% hardly any hotel industry had been booked by the guests and caused 1.5% loss in hotel revenue. Moving on. Here is our research objective. There are 3 research objectives, which is first, to identify the customer's motivation for choosing Airbnb over traditional hotel chains in Malaysia, to examine the relationship between the customer motivation of using sharing economy, accommodation, and intention to visit, and to identify the most influential motivation of customers towards the intention to revisit the Airbnb. Moving on to the chapter 2, which is literature review. The concept of the sharing economy began to emerge and was introduced in the early 2000s as a form of new business operation. Sharing economy, also formerly known as collaborative economy and peer-to-peer. Next, relationship between the price and intention to revisit. Pricing factor is widely acknowledged to be one of the elements that determines the long-term accomplishment in the lodging industry. The customers are willing to pay a large amount of service which the superhouse due to the large number of positive reviews and ratings. Next, relationship between functional attributes and intention to revisit. Hotel guest reviews tended to focus on the convenience of location, while the PSR reviews tended to focus on the more general desirability of a location. The existing literature on Airbnb and PSR has highlighted the benefit of access to household amenities. Moving on. Relationship between unique and local authenticity and intention to revisit. The intent to experience something new, different from others and closer to the local people during travelings. And the tourist expectation to get a unique experience makes the demand more versatile and authenticity of the tourism products. And last but not least, the relationship between novelty and intention to revisit, which is to seek personal innovativeness that represent people's tendency to receive and adopt the innovations. Next, novelty seeking is generally conceived within the literature on tourism as a desire for new and unfamiliar stimuli. So this is the study framework. It shows On the right side of the table shows the independent variables, while on my right side is a dependent variable, our dependent variable, which is customer intention to revisit or not to revisit the Airbnb. Next, I will pass to my group members, Mr. Rushdie.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fasha, for your clarification for Chapter 1 and also Chapter 2. For the Chapter 3, I'm going to cover more about the methodology methods. So basically, methodology method covers different elements, which is research design, population sampling, data collection method, and also many more. For our research design, is based on the descriptive research in order to investigate and gather the information and data on the features of the particular issue. Moreover, we also use the quantitative method because it is more accurate, faster and easier to collect the data. For the population and sampling, our target population of our study is a customer who are apparently use the Airbnb platform rather than traditional hotel, which is located in Malaysia. As for the sampling method, we are using a convenience sampling as a sampling unit. For the sample size, we decided to take a 384 sample size according with the number of customers who choose Airbnb as a sharing economy service in Malaysia in the year of 2017. For the data collection method, we use both primary and secondary data. And for the we gather the data using a Google form, which is being distributed to the public. And for the questionnaire survey, we have three different type of section, which is section A, B, and C. For the section A, it covers a demographic profile which comprises 8 items. For the section B, is cover the motivation of customer choosing Airbnb platform as a accommodation service. As Fasha said just now, we have a price, novelty, unique and local authenticity, and functional attributes. This section comprises 19 questions and also measured by 5 Likert scale from rate 1 until rate 5. And similar to the section B, similar to section C, it is measured using a 5 Likert measurement range, and this section is cover 7 questions. And for the data analysis, we are using 6 type of data, which is descriptive analysis, frequency analysis, pilot study, correlation analysis, regression analysis, normality test. And this data analysis is being used using SPSS software.
For the chapter 4, there is a finding and analysis. All the seven that will be analysis have been mentioned for Mr. Rudy before. Next. For our ability analysis, all the questions for the variables have scored a good alpha value that all the question make can be used in the real survey. Next. For the normality analysis, we can see that all the variables are normally distributed. Next. For our response rate, our target sample is 384 respondents, and in actual sample also 384 respondents. So overall, our response rate is 100%. Next. The frequency analysis. For the gender, male have higher number in frequency rather than female respondent. For the age group, the group 20 until 29 years old has the highest number of respondents. Meanwhile, 60 years and above has the lowest numbers of respondents. In the educational level, the degree holder respondent has the highest number of frequency. Meanwhile, certificate holder and stipend holder is the lowest. In the on the occupation of the respondent, the respondent which are the student is the highest. Meanwhile, the respondent who are employed is the lowest. On the purpose of their research stay is the highest one is for the leisure, and the lowest one is for the ethnic or convention, conference, or other major event. Next. For the sixth one is the number of night of their Airbnb stay. The highest one is 1 until 2 nights, and the lowest one is 7 night and above. The type of the Airbnb accommodation that they use during their Airbnb stay is the highest one is entire place, and the lowest one is the share place in the share space. And lastly, the people that the respondents stay during their Airbnb accommodation is the highest one with their family and the lowest one with their professional colleague. For the descriptive analysis for the variable price is the question number 2 has the highest mean, and the question number 1 and 3 um, have the same value of mean. Next. For the analysis in unique and local authenticity, the question number 1, the Airbnb offer the unique login experience is the highest mean, and the lowest one is they choose Airbnb to understand the local culture. Next. Analysis for the novelty is the highest one is they thought the experience of with Airbnb was exciting is the highest one, and the lowest one with they thought the experience with Airbnb it was unpredictable. Next, the descriptive analysis for functional attribute. Most of the respondents agree that Airbnb are clean and tidy, and most of the respondents quite disagree with the host is nice and friendly. Next. Lastly, the descriptive analysis for intention to revisit is the highest one is the question number 3 is they will recommend Airbnb to other people, and the lowest one is they will not switch from Airbnb to another service provider. Next. Based on the Pearson correlation analysis, it shows that there are positive relationships between the independent variables and dependent variables. Next. And in the multiple standard regression, on the model summary, 59.9% of the total variable is explained by the variable, which is price, authenticity, novelty, and functional. Meanwhile, the other 40.1% is explained by other factors. Next. Based on the coefficient table, there are significant relationship between independent and dependent variable. Next. Based on the correlation and regression table, it can be concluded that all the hypotheses are supported. Next.
Thank you, Ms. Fatin, for your clarification for the chapter 4, which is result answer findings. For the last final chapter, which is about the discussion and conclusion. So, based on the FASYA just now, she covers more about the research objective, which is involve 3 objectives, which is to identify, to examine, and also to identify the most influential motivation of the customer towards the intention to revisit Airbnb. Based on the result, it can be said that the research objective and also the hypothesis are being supported and also being achieved successfully. So there are several limitations that are being faced by our team member, which is insufficient data and information. Few respondents did not cooperate well in filling the questionnaires. Currently face pandemic outbreak COVID-19, and last but not least is a limitation of time. For the recommendation, it is advisable for the Airbnb to maintain their price value of their accommodation service. The second one is the host of the sharing combination to be more aware of their target market. Next is the host of Airbnb accommodation should provide unique and special service to the customer. Last but not least is the Airbnb are required to implement more strategies to compete with the competitors in the future plan. And for the conclusion is, in a nutshell, as the team members itself, we can be said that we identified the customer revisit intention to use the Airbnb platform, and all of the data being gathered and analyzed for both IV and also DV. And apart from that, based on the finding and analysis that have been presented by the Ms. Fatin just now, all the hypotheses are being supported while the research objectives are being achieved successfully through the SPSS software. And for the future plan, it is advisable for the other researchers to anticipate with the emergence of the Airbnb platform, as it may change the accommodation industry in Malaysia. So I think that's all from us, from our team member. Thank you for lending your ears, and Assalamualaikum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.